Hi, everyone. This is Rejoice on Umatta Consulting Podcast. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Emmanuel Gamor. He is our senior manager at MTN in Ghana, and he's also an entrepreneur. So I would love for him to introduce himself, and then we can start asking him questions. Emmanuel, the mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Rejoice. It is a deep pleasure and absolute joy to be on your podcast. Thanks for reaching out to your audience. Hello. It is Heritage Month. It is March. We're excited. We're looking forward to 6th March. As you rightly pointed out, I'm part of management at MTN, and my team is responsible for a couple of channels, but one of our favorites one is the My MTN app. So you have a chance to see the Ghana flag on the app. Those are the little Easter eggs and joys. Because MTN is a big telco, so maybe compared to your Verizon or T-Mobile's in the US, and then Orange to some of your French listeners. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring Ghanaian-ness into it. So there'll be a Ghana flag and elements of Ghana sprinkled within the app experience. While I'm not working at MTN, I teach digital transformation at a university in South Africa called Stellenbosch Business School. So I'm part of the faculty for the executive education program, and then I teach digital communication for some of the younger managers as well. And in terms of joy and happiness and excitement, I've also started a few initiatives. There's a social enterprise that I've done, and out of that, I've created a DJ experience. So as the conversation goes on, I'd love to share more. Happy to be here and to engage with you today.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. You're doing so many wonderful things, and we're looking forward to learn more about you. But we want to start by learning a little bit about your journey to MTN as a senior manager.
Sure. I don't think there was anything special or astounding. So I saw a role on LinkedIn. And so maybe flashback to about 3-4 years ago, I was working in South Africa in Bryanston. I was working for Meta, formerly Facebook. So managing communities that the platform has. And one of the things that I've realized from my early age, because Meta is the second global big tech I've worked for, is you also have to read the macroeconomy to know whether you have job security or not. So it's funny because Mark Zuckerberg posts or around COVID have really made a big bet on metaverse. And so a lot of us who are on the programming side, I was like, maybe where the guy is moving with this project, it might not be the best for Africans. And I didn't know too many friends who could easily afford the Oculus. So outside of testing it at work, it just didn't make sense. So as I was transitioning out of Facebook, I applied for a couple of roles, and honestly, I applied for a role at MTN Ghana on LinkedIn. They wanted somebody with expertise, but also would manage products, teams, user design teams, and growth teams. And luckily, I had gone to MTN Ghana and helped them launch their in-house innovation center. So I've been invited a couple of years to COVID. It's almost like an expert in residence. So when I applied and I went through the interview phase, they called on that engagement that I shared with them. And then that's how I got to join MTN. This is my third year.
Right.
High stakes, incredible pressure. Oh yeah. Very commercially led business, but it's been really cool and rewarding. I think MTN across different countries has some of the most brilliant people on the continent, and we understand how to sell. There's a reason why the company is one of the best, and it's an African business from board members down. Even our chairman, you always see him in a kaftan. So I think I surprised my team in the 3 years that I've been there. I wore a suit on Monday and I got a standing ovation. I think that people didn't know what it looked like. But it just speaks to how Afrocentric we are. It speaks to also how dependent economies are to digital transformation and connectivity. So I'm quite excited to be able to contribute in our own small way, the broader connectivity, and as I mentioned, the Ghanaian-ness on user experience as well.
Amazing. You actually brought us to speaking about the digital transformation of Africa. What is, I guess, in terms of worldwide, we all know the concept of AI is being buzzed around everywhere. What specific AI driven changes do you foresee Africa's workforce for the next 5 years?
So I think the thing that gets people excited about AI is maybe having automation for things that are obvious, right? Like running your numbers, analytics. And so people are excited. I don't have to use Excel spreadsheets. PowerPoint can be assisted with some of the
Mm-hmm.
generative AI stuff. The stuff that is really interesting are the things that you don't notice, right? So when you have systems that are built on analytics and data based on human experience. So like transportation analytics on our end, fulfillment. So having machine learning to be able to predict stock fulfillments for devices or performance of network in certain areas and optimize funds so that we can start to like mitigate before wear and tear and industrial type stuff. Those are the things that Africa needs, right? Like just to deploy or launch products is a cost. And unfortunately for us, because we don't generate in-house a lot of money, we're very external dependence, either for venture capital or for donor support. Like the whole USAID thing is huge.
Right.
Whenever you have a digitally transformed space, maintaining and sustaining it becomes quite difficult.
Right.
So where I see a lot of joy is AI being able to help our engineers, our operators have a plan of deploying capital to specific places on infrastructure, deploying resources, especially for customer care and needs. And one of the funny thing is, so I'm not a traditional telco guy, but now I manage folks who've come from some of our competitors,
Mm-hmm.
and they talk about, oh, we have this product, and at this X and Y telco, it was amazing. And then we look at their stats. You only had like 100,000 people. With us at MTN, we're dealing with 25 million, like at scale.
Right.
Even the best products break, right? So where it's really interesting for us on the continent is where AI helps with climate control and agriculture. It helps with almost like urban housing developments and deployments and resource management. It helps with currency fluctuation mitigation, commodity exchange. Like those are the things that some of the big leaders, and because I sit in management, those are the
Right.
things I would love to crack. Data
Mm-hmm.
analytics is really helpful. So that's where I see digital transformation really impacting commodities exchange, resource management in that continent.
Amazing, amazing. When we talk about technology in Africa, a lot of people feel like maybe the readiness may not be there yet. So I'm just curious, how would businesses and professionals in Africa prepare for AI impact on jobs specifically? Do you feel like there's a scarce?
It's a good question. I think readiness is so broad. And I think I used to be like that. Like if if I was out of school or I was starting a venture, I always look at readiness as in, are we being like capacitated? Are we like in a place where we can afford to engage with it,
Right,
right? Now that I'm in a different space where I am the duty of care of millions of people, whether they're ready or not, whether they have money is part of that.
right.
That's my responsibility. Then I would always say we're ready for tools that optimize performance. So South Africa
Okay,
is ready. We're probably the most ready continent for AI
I see.
that's out
Why do
there
you think that?
because so I think most people think of generative AI. Most people think of AI that almost like, so when I say generative, for example, AI that then takes over like music production, movie production,
Right,
generates content. So those are roles, but those are not deep expertise roles,
right,
right? So then the reason why the jobs matter comes is like for repetitive roles that could be automated, you're
right,
scared because AI is going to come take over that, right? Our
right.
economy isn't filled with that. And to move
Hmm.
our economy forward, it's not those roles. Those roles are helpful. They're needed with respect to people who perform those. But that's not what drives performance in others, right? So that's how I
Mm-hmm.
was saying that if I was out of school and others, I'm in an entry level space, I'm starting my career, I can feel that. And it's like, oh wow, are students being empowered with new tools? Oh
Mm-hmm.
wow, are entry level people being given an opportunity to understand prompt engineering, to be understand Boolean logic and others, and to be able to understand the code that drives some of the logic. for these automated practices, right? I think
Right.
that's education based and others, and there's a gap there. I think that can be filled. Where I think, and that's why I started my answer with more machine learning and optimized performance at scale,
Mm.
we can't afford to industrialize Africa the same way the US, Europe has done, and then be able to give and feed people, and then be able to give a better lifestyle and others. It's almost like we're competing with resources. So in the spaces where AI optimizes manufacturing, it optimizes like for those people who have to do inventory or forecast inventory 3 to 9 months ahead of time. We need that. Like climate control, we are at the brunt of climate control. So any way that you
Mm.
can get insights for farming and other, because already your farm produce for the next 6 months is at this, and then you find out that
Mm.
without predictive analytics, you could have saved 4 or 5 days or stocked and that support is needed. So I think we're ready for the productive use, especially on optimized and performance-based enablement of AI. We're not ready because there's still a lot of education, utility, and mindset change that
Right.
has to come with that adoption, right? But I want to separate the two because very few people who sit within the spaces I do participate in these conversations. Like I
Right.
always hear like people entry level, people in creative space and others, but people who are responsible for systems. So look at
Right.
local governance. You're responsible for water supply or you're responsible for sanitation and others. At scale, you need the data to be able to have intervention. Is it performing well or not? Right? So I think we need as much as we can get, but in addition to that, we need that the adoption of AI should come with the education and the literacy and empowerment so that people are reskilled and retooled to use it.
Awesome, awesome. I love your answer. And I think it makes sense. Like you said, it's not the ultimate driver of the economy. So most people
Mm-hmm.
probably won't feel it, like how we are experiencing in the US or France or the other European countries. So I think that's a fantastic, distinguished um, information that you were able to give us. What role do you think AI and automation will play in bridging the digital divide in Africa, in your point of view?
That's a good question. I think it's a leading question. In some places, I think AI is going to even make the divide more broader.
Mm.
Um, Before AI, I spent quite a bit of time looking at, and then the digital divide, by how I understand it and what you're asking, is closing the gap between those who are digitally literate, those who function with a high level of digital enablement, and then their economies or societies benefiting from that, right? So like you have shared economy, you have plug-in economy, you have nomadic workers. We as Africa, we still have a very slim number of people who are benefiting from that. So even our current and new president during his campaign trail was talking about fostering the 24-hour economy as a campaign. You don't hear that from France, and those people, they've been having 24-hour economy when it wasn't even digital. So
Right.
like there is that divide. I think that in terms of data centers and infrastructure, so the type of digital tools we adopt, whether it's your Cisco, SAP tools,
Mhm.
accounting schools, Microsoft, we've not been able to catch up. There is
Mm.
no enterprise level African tool for accounting that Africa has adopted. There's no enterprise level
Mm.
Africa OS operating system for mobile. All of those things, unfortunately, have gone out the door. So that divide is always going to be there. We're always going to have to be the buy and adopt and tweak. Where I think, though, is the ethics and community of AI is lost. So we're finding out that even though the global north and the west are the ones that make these things, there's a lack of humanness and humanity and culture and community in there. And so there's an opportunity for us to also map out how should these tools serve us if we
Right.
didn't build it innately in others. And so I think it's in the utility and maybe in sparking joy for these things that Africa can then offer our contribution.
Mm.
And then in some way humanize a lot of big tech into lived experiences rather than tools for commoditizing people and such and such.
Exactly. Exactly. That's where the innovation comes in and people working together collaboratively. Going along with that, any key initiatives you've worked on in the past or you're currently working on to impact the AI landscape?
Yeah, some of the stuff are internal in MTN, so they're more telco based than others.
Mm,
I think there was a Google project. So about 8 years ago, I used to be with Google, and it was something around archiving Africa's history,
mm,
um, and making sure that even as some of the places that have rich world history, conflict zones and others, some of that mapping can be archived and accessible and be part of learning experiences, especially for museums, for those local and those international as well. I think that some of those projects were quite costly to do. I think with AI, you can crowdsource for some of our almost like verbal, oral is actually the word, not verbal, oral history rather than orchestrated one. Unfortunately, it's expensive now to run AI systems and to make it easy and accessible. And so it looks like a lot of NVIDIA, OpenAI, deep sea, very commercial, very
right.
specific productivity ones are being built. But we're hoping that with some of the open source opportunities, then you can see the implementation of AI from just business commercial use into social engagement, education, and use. I think that's where Africa is. Like we need more of those. And then for the
Mm,
things that are commercial and others, same way, like Africa's not gonna build another Microsoft suite. We're just
right,
gonna leverage on it.
right,
So
right.
that's where I think we are
It's smarter. Uh, not to reinvent the wheel, but capitalize on what is out there, right?
now. 100%.
Amazing. Amazing. What, so from your point of view, what industries, I should say, are in Africa leading AI adaptation? And what lessons have you sort of benchmarked from them or learned from them based on the work that they're doing?
So there are two very interesting examples. Darlene Apigalo, he's been spotlighted and featured with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for AI in healthcare.
Okay.
And so for different types of diseases, specific diseases, healthcare mapping, analysis, diagnosis, and I think AI is quite helpful in precision
Mm-hmm.
diagnostics, and then also helping in medical precision instrument making. And so
Mm,
we're seeing some joy there where I don't know if Africa's leading, but we're definitely contributing.
okay.
I mean, education as well, particularly for translation into multi. There's a cool project called Unpacking, also led by Ghanaians. They also got spotlighted by Belinda and Bill Gates Foundation as well. And AI is able to translate conversations in multiple dialects, including in some
Nice.
Nigerian languages, Yoruba, Igbo, so,
Mm,
as well. So you can see that, to my point earlier, it's
right.
the social intervention and needs that's coming through. I think some companies have quite a bit of use of AI in terms of the mining resource ore, but it's more hush hush. These are more like international companies that operate here rather than the two examples that are local natives that are enabling in order to kind of have a social good and impact people.
Amazing. I love the healthcare being the place where this work is being done the most because, as you know, we need to always improve the livelihood of people. And I just love predicting diseases, figuring out how to support people. I think that's amazing work, especially done in Africa. And then the languages, too. We have so many languages in Africa. So, I think the ability to translate these languages for people to communicate is extremely impactful for the work that they're
100%.
doing. Yes,
A
that's
hundred
awesome.
percent.
Awesome. So you're also known for your pan wine company or business that you are leading. Can you tell us a little bit more about how this blend of musical style is filtering across Africa? What you're doing? How did you get started? What would you like people to know about it?
Thank you, and thanks for punting to my. I think on one of my captions, I'm like, digital and tech by day, DJing palm wine music at night, and then I ride a motorcycle on weekends or in between. So palm wine music, for those who are wondering, is a genre that predates most of our current West African countries. So palm wine
Mhm.
music really is also predates high life and others, and has elements of the kushka and horn and guitar, and you have like really OG artists, Coney Mo, Taylor, and so many other bands that champion. Right now, is one of the most popular contemporary ones. They released the Sweet Palm Wine Music album last December.
Wow.
What's really awesome about today, there's so many Ghanaian and Nigerian artists, and even now, reading about some artists from Benin and other countries over the years, especially in the 40s and 50s, but in 2020s, there have been two really big groups of people who have been pushing the palm wine brand. One of them is the Show Them Camp, STC. They have multiple palm wine albums. They're Nigerian, based in the UK. One of them manages Thames and was on stage to receive the Grammy with her. And then we have a lot of Ghanaian artists, obviously, because I'm here and have more proximity to them. Manifest, Walasi, Jules, as a producer, has created a couple of palm wine music projects as well, infusing. And it's something that I feel like, for me, anchors like the relationship my father and my grandfather has with music. And so for me, it's one of the easiest way to say that I'm from Ghana, West Africa, without saying that I'm from Ghana, West Africa. And it's collaborative music. If you are anywhere, the opportunity of seeing and performing with Pine Pine, and they have a drum set, and then we have a dance circle where I bring people on, and it doesn't matter as far as you're able-bodied, you can clap your hands. There are instruments like Koshka, you can participate, sing along. The childhood songs that we have with it, it's that energy, right? And with that, there's also like the palm wine drinks and beverages that come along with it. It's a whole vibe. For me, it's a great, reminder and anchoring of our culture. But it's also, it shows that our culture is engaging, collaborative, and can be very fun.
Awesome, awesome. So for those of our audience listening who may not know what is palm wine, what is palm wine? And we also we also love to learn. It sounds like this is your passion. How did you derive this, and why are you interested in working towards
Yeah,
the
so a lot
goals?
of people would know palm wine as a sefufu or the drink or alcohol. And lately,
Okay.
there's been a company called Palmy, and they've been bottling it. So if you're broader in the States, if you check on Instagram, is Palmy. For me, I'm palm wine DJs because it's a genre of deep music that I like to start off. So there's always going to be some level of heritage music, and I'm grateful and really blessed at a time where a lot of Ghanaian artists are infusing that. You'll hear
Right.
quite a bit of remade music and all of that that has those elements. But
Mhm.
it also curates experiences where I teach people the music based on what they hear. So these handheld instruments and others come to the fore. I did that with some students from Edinburgh on climate change and a MasterCard project, and it was so well received because it's participatory. And even for some of my friends in music, not that many people know of palm wine music, the genre. So like
Right.
it's almost like the drink has preceded that. And for me,
Right.
it's there's an element of participation and teaching that checks off all the boxes for me.
Mm.
And it's a joy to be able to share something about the country and the place that I'm really excited about, and to see people get excited about learning something new, right? There are
Yes.
people who fall in love with classical music. There's
Right.
a whole guitar that is nationally claimed, like the Spanish guitar.
Yes.
So with all of these things that are out there, it's really a joy to also be an ambassador for palm wine music and the palm wine experience as a DJ.
Amazing, amazing. So we have a couple of young people, or also mid-size or seasoned folks working in corporate. How do you balance your corporate professional career and also your
Mhm.
entrepreneurship adventures that you're on? Any
So
tips
I
or
think,
advice?
yeah, absolutely. I started off so in at Persec in boarding school and in college, I was always involved in campus activity. I was at Persec in drama club, theater. I was in writers and debaters. I was pretty in choir and other things. I was pretty much looking for the full educational experience, not just the academic experience. And then in college, I went to University of Florida on a full scholarship. I was also campus involvement
Mm.
director and president of a fraternity and a professional law organization. So if you enjoy curiosity, my first thing is apply yourself, right? Second thing is for you to do things or multiple things, it's a muscle. The same way you have to go to the gym. How do you go to the gym? How do you play sports? Well, you try for the first time. You probably trip and fall. But then over time, you build the muscle. And so for me, I've built the muscle for both having things that spark joy professionally, but being intentional about things that fill me up. Because corporate is a lot of pressure and a lot of work.
Right.
And so it just happens that in this space, it's Palm Wine DJ. At every company I've worked with, I think at Google, it was the Social Enterprise Already, which is a nonprofit to honor my dad. And then when I was at Facebook, it was the LU Gift Hub, which was just bringing a lot of creative people online, engaging. It was a great time to be alive because there was also Clubhouse. Twitter didn't have spaces yet, so it was
Yes.
great to do that. And Rejoice, you're reaching me at a space where I'm deeply passionate about amplifying Ghanaian culture. So I used to be on radio on YFM and then Sunlight Radio in the DMV area. So it's not a stretch for me to bring some of the musical talents. So I'll tell a lot of young people, find things that you've done. I'm sure a lot of people have done things in their past, but they've stopped doing it or haven't decided to invest in it to make it more than something that I just did, right? So with me, I've decided to invest in this not only as an outlet, but an opportunity for me to collaborate with people and gratefully for me to talk and meet you.
Exactly. Awesome. Thank you. That's a wonderful advice. Thank you so much today for spending time with us and talking about AI in Africa and digital marketing and entrepreneurship and career development. Any last minute thoughts or special advice, or how can people reach out to you if they're interested in collaboration, maybe coming to Africa, maybe Pan Wine? Where can they find
Absolutely.
you?
Man, so I'm one of those people that's so easy to Google. If you put in Emmanuel Gamor or EA Gamor, you'll see both my handles on Twitter, Instagram. Those are the best ways to actually find out. eagamor.com has now the Palm Wine site and also like concierge. So I've been part of the Beyond the Return and Year of Return kind of hosting things in December. So I have friends. I'm so happy to like assist folks who may want like concierge or booking or recommendations of what to do. I'm also very active on X, either Gamor or even just Palm Wine DJ. You'll be able to find and drop a line. And I'm part of a group of people called Aspro. We've been back from, and usually it's folks from the States, but there's similar groups from Europe and others that we just live in Ghana. And we formed a support group for people who want more information, want to stay connected, and so would love to, if I don't have any answers, would be happy to pass them on to other people who do or may have them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And then also on behalf of Umatta Consulting, we want to thank you for your time. And we know Ghana's Independence Day is March 6th. So shout out to everybody in Ghana. Enjoy the Independence Day. And we hope to see a lot of activities on social media so we can like them and celebrate with you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And to all you and your listeners, have a wonderful month. And happy Ghana Independence Day to all Ghanaians.
Thank you.